Hello everyone, I am going to be speaking on the topic of changes in Form 3CD. Before we look into what is changes in Form 3CD, we'll look at what is Form 3CD. Form 3CD is nothing but an annexure to the tax audit report. Tax audit report is usually generated when a tax audit is conducted. So now who is liable for a tax audit? Any person whose turnover is crossing 1 crore or a professional with receipts of more than 50 lakhs is liable for tax audit. And if he is liable for tax audit, there are two forms he has to file. It's either Form 3CA and Form 3CD, or it's Form 3CB and Form 3CD. So if Form 3CA is applicable only if there is an audit in another law. Let's say there's a company. So a company has to have a statutory audit. So as he is already being audited under a different law, so he has to file a Form 3CA along with the Form 3CD. Let's say there's an individual. He is not liable for any company audit or an LLP audit. So he doesn't have an audit anywhere else. So he has to file Form 3CB along with Form 3CD. So Form 3CD is nothing but a disclosure, whereas Form 3CA and 3CB are containing the opinion of the auditor. So now let's see what actually is there in this Form 3CD. So Form 3CD are having two parts. First part is the basic details such as the PAN number, the business nature, as well as the assessment year. And the part B is basically the disclosures. The disclosures, namely the income, deductions, expenses, the other statutory compliances like TDS, GST, MSME related disclosures, etc. So this is really important, especially for tax authorities, as it ensures transparency. Here, the person actually discloses the different types of income, the statutory compliances which he has done, if any penalties which he has paid through these clauses, which is available in the Form 3CD. And there is also verification of the statutory compliance, whereas he discloses how much GST he has paid, whether he has paid on time, whether there are any penalties which he has paid for that. And if any non-compliance is there, here there is no, provision for non-allowance as well, so that they know which expenses are included in the deductible expenses and which is not. And it will also enable accurate tax computations, and hence the tax authorities can be rest assured that the computations are accurate. So, is it regular changes which is done in the Form 3CD? Actually, it's no. The changes are in compliance with the changes done in the Income Tax Act. So, if there is a change, major change in Income Tax Act, the corresponding change will be done in the Form 3CD as well. As we can see, as the new tax rules are introduced, or the old tax rules are being omitted from the income tax, so these Form 3CDs also comply accordingly. As the new sections are being introduced, the disclosures for those sections are being introduced then and there in the Form 3CD. So in this specific, so now let's look at the notification number 23/2025, which says which are the changes which has been done in the Form 3CD. So the amendments have been done in March 28, 2025, which is applicable from April 1st, 2025 for the assessment year 25-26. So the first change is the introduction of the clause 44 BBC, which is a clause which is of presumptive taxation for the non-residents who are in the business of operation of cruise ships, and over here they can declare their income as 20% of the gross receipts, and this must be reported accordingly in this clause. The next one are the omissions, as these are no more relevant. The first one is the investment deduction for new plant and machinery. The other one is the additional deduction for investment in backward areas, deduction for contributions to approved welfare projects, deduction for agro-based research programs. As these have been, these are no more continued in the Income Tax Act, so these disclosures are of no relevance. So this has been removed from Form 3CD. So this is the clause which relates to MSME payments. So as we all know, there are certain due dates by which the payments have to be done to the MSME clients. So here we must disclose the total amount of outstanding which is payable, the interest which cannot be claimed as the due has been paid on a delayed basis. And there needs to be a clear classification done on how much payments have been done on time and how much payments have been delayed. The next one is the modification in clause 26. So the clause 26 talks about section 43B, which talks about the deductible expenses. So now there needs to be a proper classification done as taxes, duties, and other statutory dues to ensure a more accurate tax compliance. Then other than that, there is a new disclosure where any regulatory settlements done by the entity has to be disclosed. So these regulatory settlements don't talk about the settlements done maybe for the delay in tax TDS filings or GST filings. These are the statutory settlements which are done to maybe the enforcement directorate or any other body like that, wherein you are maybe charged of some, you're charged guilty for some charges, and then now you are paying a settlement to get rid of those charges. Then there is a removal of clause 28 and 29, wherein under section 56 subsection 2, subclause 6a and section 56 subsection 2 clause 7b. So these have been omitted to reduce the unnecessary reporting burdens. Then there is a change in the loan and deposit reporting. So now we can do a more detailed reporting, as you can clearly categorize them on the basis of the amount of payment done or the receipts received, as well as the transfer of assets if any, and the journal entries and other transactions which have taken place on the loans and deposits. There's also a new clause which has been added for the reporting requirements of the buyback of shares. So here, if any company has bought back its shares, they have to disclose the amount received from the buyback as well as the cost which has been incurred on acquiring those shares. So these are the changes which are there in the Form 3CD. That's it from my part. Thank you.